Yeah, let's go. I'm unstoppable. Do the impossible. That's why I'm irresponsible. Yeah, I'm phenomenal. I got an arsenal. I'm dropping bombs, you know. No, I'm not stopping, no. Conquer the obstacle. To the top, here I go, think I'm chosen to be the king of rock, think the people are spoken. I can hear the tick-tock of the clock, I'm in motion. So now I'm gonna pop, causing all this commotion. Yeah. Sometimes I think that I'm unstoppable. Yeah. Ready to go, man, lock and load. That's right. I swear to God that I can drop it, bro. I got a shot and I ain't stopping, go. That's how I know that I'm unstoppable. That's how I know that I'm unstoppable. Yeah, so I don't care what they all say. I'ma do this thing my way. Been grinding hard on it all day. We work hard, then we all play. I'm addicted to the grind, man. So I refuse to waste time, man. One day it all will be fine, man. Gotta commit to the climb, you know we're back with the kid, setting records every minute, every track. In addiction to the fact that we're winning, still relax. Something's missing, need a track that is hitting, making racks, making millions. I don't waste time, no, I make time. All these people wanna hate, fine, I'ma make mine. While you sitting there complaining, I'll be training. While you sitting there just waiting, I'm creating. Yeah. Sometimes I think that I'm unstoppable. Yeah. Ready to go, man, lock and load. That's right. I swear to God that I can drop it, bro. Yeah. I got a shot and I ain't stopping, go. That's how I know that I'm unstoppable. That's how I know that I'm unstoppable. Take a look around me, taking pages from a magazine, looking for the answer. Ever since we were 17, you know the truth can be a weapon to fight all of ill intentions. New answer to the same question. How many times will you learn the same lesson? Got it all wrong. It's got it all wrong. And on. 'Cause we're gonna be legends. Gonna get their attention. What we're doing here ain't just scary. It's about to be legendary. Yeah, we're gonna be legendary. Take a look around me, taking pages from a magazine, looking for the answer. Ever since we were 17, 'cause we're gonna be legends. We're gonna get their attention. What we're doing here ain't just scary. It's about to be legendary. We're gonna be legends. Teach you all a lesson. Got this feeling in our souls, we baby. It's about to be legendary. This is what we came for. Couldn't want it anymore. Never turn back now. Got to leave it all on the floor. Dreaming of the hell. The struggles and the chaos. I didn't shoot it, then on the way up. Tell them the truth, but they think it's just me. They're gonna be legendary. They're gonna be legendary. They're gonna be legendary. They're gonna be legendary. They're gonna be legendary.
What's up? What's up? What's up, guys? We are here on a Friday morning. I got to play a quick Friday morning screen share for you guys. We got a 1-minute clip here. I want you guys to pay attention to just because it's Friday. Let's see here.
What's up, man? How you doing? All right. Hey, what's your name? Where are you from?
My name is West, and I'm from Inglewood, California.
All right. Inglewood, right around the corner. You ready for the script challenge?
I stay ready, baby. Let's go.
I love these guys.
Comes over and pulls you over, says, hey, man, I know where's the drug deal going down? Tell me.
I don't know what you're talking about. I know nothing of this sort.
Sir, well, you know nothing of the sort?
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, sir.
All right. Do you know the script?
I know the script.
I'm going to give you another chance. Because you're not giving it to me. None of those words are in the script. Okay, let's start over. Here we go. Pull you over. Say, hey, you're going to a drug deal?
I'm not discussing my day with you, officer.
Those are part of the words, but that's not how we start. So,
Okay.
Good. We'll use this to teach again.
These guys are hilarious.
Mark and Craig, Hot Brothers at Law. It is Shut the Fuck Up Friday. Today we want to concentrate on shutting the fuck up when cops ask questions, learning the script, and never ever consenting to a search unless you're on probation or parole and you have no search and seizure rights. So when those cops ask questions, what do? Shut the fuck up. And never consent. Shut the fuck up. Never consent. Shut the fuck up. And what do you say when the cop first comes up to you? Why'd you come up to me or why'd you pull me over? And he starts asking questions. Not discussing my day or evening, sir. And he keeps asking questions. Am I being detained or am I free to go? And if detained, what do you say? Sir, I go to fifth. And then what do? I shut the fuck up.
It is Shut the Fuck Up Friday. Oh, John, yes, I remember what we talked about a few months back with the Razorbacks. We talked about a lot of stuff. So let me know what you're thinking. Okay. I did 2 sheets back when I first fired the plasma up, mostly to get the machine dialed in. Yeah, Mike, that's a touchy situation. I never did anything for free. I was kind of lucky. I honestly don't know how I made it happen. With everything. I don't know how I did it for actually getting money for my test cuts. one of the things that I do for free, but it's actually not for free because we write them off, is I give ornaments out, uh, and stuff like that. I give those out just because it fills in the plasma table. It helps me, something to draw the parents in. Every move that I make with something, I have a plan. It is what it is. Other times it's actually, hey, we give this part to this person and they're going to come back with their mom and dad, or mom and dad are going to get the feel goods and come back and take a look at what I have. I would say for every 10 pieces that I put out, I get 5 to 7 returns. And it is a way to pull in the parents by making their kids feel good. John, my internet just re-uploaded, so you should be good. But yeah, it's all a business decision. I don't think that anybody has any way of dictating whether or not you should or should not give free stuff. My theory is, I don't give free stuff. I have a plan. I may give you something. It's never free. Okay. I have an ulterior plan in the background going, whether it be you're a cute little 2-year-old girl. I give you a 3-inch unicorn ornament keychain, and mom is sitting there, and she's more on the affluent side. The goal is to get her to come back and order a monogram. And I can tell when I see that. There were situations where I have kids that come up and they look at the stuff and they have fun. Good morning, Carlos. They have fun looking at it. Now, in those situations, I give an ornament free. Is it free? No, it makes me feel good. That's the ulterior motive, is I feel good. I feel good because I gave something. I made somebody's day. It's an ulterior motive, and at first it sounds real sleazy, and I had to come to terms with that. It's not sleazy. Like, everything has an ulterior motive. My motive when I give something is, what does it make me feel good? Does it make them feel good? Can I make money from it? Can I trade it for something? How can I optimize my skill? I've traded metal work for bike work. I've traded metal work for custom brewed beers. I've traded metal work for shit, you name it. I mean, car work, electrician work, all kinds of stuff. I don't forget, like, my dad. My dad is an integral part of Croft CNC, in the fact that he actually bought the new shop for me. I was coming back home. I didn't know where I was going to put everything. And he was like, I'll sign for the loan for you. And then he was just like, oh, it's only that much? Then I'll just buy it and you pay me back. Okay. As a token of my gratitude, you know, let me do some decorations for your shop. That's not free. Okay. My dad bought my shop for me. I am obligated to make him feel good and show him that wasn't just a throwaway setup, you know? So in 2021, when we start hitting the shows hard again, I'm going to start hitting everything hard with the intentions of I have that loan payment to pay back. Until that time, I have to figure out, you know, how I can come to terms with, you know, dad bought my shop. So, you know, you have to look at that. Let's see. One of the topics today, Copperhead Mike was liking my powder coated stuff. So let's take a look here. We have the samurai version of Atlas, the Titan, holding the world on his shoulders. We powder coated it candy blue. It's a big seller for us in candy blue. We've done candy red. We've done solids. We've done opaques. Just the candy blue works. We acid wash it first, and we use hot rolled steel, so it has the mill scale marks on it, and we powder coat and clear. So that's one of them. Here's another color. This is sparkle purple. So I didn't make that color. This color I made. Okay. This color I did not make, but I found the one that works out really well. This is called Copper Vein. It's very similar to my Silver Vein. It has penny copper coloring in a hammer texture with black veins in it. And then here's the Harley sign for my shop. And I used a prophet, like a prophecy prophet, paint scanner. And I took the paint color from Harley Brilliant Silver, which was like an 04 to 010 color, I think. It was like a fine aluminum flake with a heavy pearlescent powder. So the things don't do it justice, but you could see as I bend it down the different metal flake in it. So let's see here. There we go. But it actually shimmers like you wouldn't believe. So all of my colors, I started out, I would spray paint things, but I quickly found that, like, when I was young, I powder coated for Industrial Fab, which they manufactured Craftmatic adjustable bed frames, and we actually would powder coat Silver Vein, and they had a big, long industrial line. So they had an 8-tank wash system. It went through the whole wash system, then it went through a dryer system, and then it went to powder, and then it cooked in an oven. So that's where I got to actually experience powder coating and understand powder coating. There was a gentleman there by the name of Sean. I'll never forget. I never knew his last name, but his name was Sean, and he did powder coating, and the stuff would always break. Always. The hoppers, the guns, you know, they were changing out electrodes, and it was just an old thrown together line, and the owner didn't want to put money into it. So we basically just made it work. And in doing so, I would watch him fix it, or I would help him fix it. And I learned how powder coat guns go together. And powder coat guns are actually very simple systems. You can actually, so Copperhead, he's doing polished aluminum and light blue anodized powder coating. So you are using an Eastwood gun, and I think it's only a single voltage gun. You can actually separate your gun out and your airlines and everything like that, and just use the tube as a cascade. And actually be able to get a better atomization of the powder, an electrical charge, a better cloud, and stuff like that with one of these relay boards like we talked about. Basically, you're going to run a push button switch, a momentary push button switch, to a set of wires that runs down to a power block. That power block will separate everything out. And whenever you separate everything out, it goes into these relays. So when you pull the trigger, different air actuators, solenoids, will actually turn on and off. And then you can adjust each of those regulators for different setups. So a typical powder coat system will have feed, dosage, you're testing me this morning. Well, I'm testing me. Let's see here. Powder coat dosage. Okay. There's the hopper. So if you have a hopper with an air bladder underneath, that air bladder is actually a honeycomb of openings. Okay. And what you do is you blow like 1 psi of air from the bottom, and that bladder separates all the air particles out, and it fumes or aerates the powder in the bucket. Okay, that's one. Two is you have your feed pressure, which that basically is the pressure that comes into the bucket and pushes out the powder to the gun. Okay, so your feed pressure is what gives you your force out. So if you're getting too much of a cloud, turn your feed pressure down, and and you'll be able to, or I'm sorry, that controls your cloud. I'd have to look at my diagram. I wish I would have prepped for this one. But then you also have your gun pressure, your dosage pressure, and that's usually half of your feed pressure, and that will allow you to how much pressure is going down the tube. So you've got your feed pressure is how much pressure is pushing the powder up and out, and then you have your dosage pressure, which is pushing the pressure through the gun. Okay, and then you actually have a gun pressure. All right. You can rig your simple Eastwood gun to do that and to run a hopper. Just get a Jiffy peanut butter container and drill a hole in it, put some hot glue around it, or some Gorilla Glue or something of that nature. Get a plastic hose barb. Everything can be had from Lowe's. And then you're going to do a nut retainer, an airtight nut retainer to get the feed tube to go down. You're just going to take a section of copper tubing, put it into an air fitting, a Gator Bite air fitting, and push that down through the nut tube, hot glue it, Gorilla Glue it, and now you have your feed in on one side. On the opposite side, you have your feed out. Okay, so now when you have pressure coming from the gun, you can actually change the pressure. Instead of changing the pressure at the gun on yours, you can change the pressure so that you have gun pressure and you have feed pressure. And then you just take that hose coming from the hopper and you run it up to the gun and it'll feed it through for you. There's a lot of little tricks to that. You know, the control panel or the control brain for most of the powder coat guns, like the Gemmas, the Nordsons, Spectra Coat, which is powder by the pound, Columbia Coatings, and the WBX 107 are all the computer brain for those are all SX 108 boards. You can get them on eBay or from Alibaba or AliExpress or Banggood, all that from Chinese manufacturer, right out of Shenzhen, and it costs like $35. And what that does is it breaks out a full trigger system into the regulators, which are solenoid valves. So basically you have one solenoid valve that has 4 heads on it coming out, and then you run 4 wires or 4 tubes to regulators, and you adjust all the regulators to what you need. So you just make a bank of 4 regulators. You can get them from Lowe's. I recommend SMC because you can actually get the low volume regulators. So you could do one of them. Your feed pressure could go up to 40 psi. 20 psi is max for a lot of it. You could do another one, same setup, and you just run that at half for your auxiliary or your dosage. You have your hopper. That's like 1 to 3 psi, and then you have a gun trigger one, and that's whatever you feel. You know, whatever you feel is worth it. So that's how you can actually change your simple Eastwood gun into a better gun and be able to control a lot of the stuff going into it. Okay. And all you have to do at the gun is actually change up a few barb fittings, and you could change your simple $100 gun into a nice hopper gun. The only difference really is you don't have an adjustable voltage setting. So if you're good at electronics, all you really have to do is run a voltage divider board, solder it into the voltage cascade, and then be able to adjust it. Now, you're not going to get the full adjustment to 100 kV because you don't have a high voltage cascade with a bunch of capacitors. However, if you're good with potting resin and you're good with soldering, you can make a high voltage cascade just by soldering capacitors daisy chained all the way up. And I think there's 24 of them. And you can actually make your own high voltage cascade in a negative charge. And off of the SX108 board, you can actually charge the powder coat. So yeah, if you haven't realized, I've, like everything, I know my powder coat inside and out. Let's see. I'll try and show you the inside of a powder coat gun here quick. Coffee today is Starbucks Pikes Peak with sweet tart infused honey, locally grown and locally harvested. The bees are local. The harvesting is local. So, and then a little bit of Italian sweet cream creamer. Let's see here. I am trying, as we're talking, to see. I have some different things here. Future projects, maybe. Lathe alignment tool. 4th axis. Nope, that's not it. Okay. Fixture table. Furniture ideas. Gear table. Hinges. Mechanical irises. Okay. That's not it. Let's go down here to ideas. Negative. Let's go down to powder coat. Negative on that. Let's see. ESO2. No matches. Okay. What I'm trying to do right now is actually find my powder coat files, because I have 4 terabyte hard drives. All right. Here we go. All right, share screen. Okay, so this is a high cascade voltage gun. So you have your powder feed, which comes up, and that's just the tube at the bucket of where you screw on your powder coat cup. That would be this tube, this green tube here. Cleansing air is basically the airline at the back of your gun. Okay. That red wire that runs from the trigger button, that would be this red line here, and that goes up to the high voltage cascade. Okay, so in your setup, Mike, I just got your text message. For those of you that don't know, I keep my phone on me. If you're private messaging, I'm looking at those private messages while we're doing this. That way I can get actual real-time messaging. So Mike, these capacitors are literally just the small capacitors, but you daisy chain them in series, and they'll actually create a hell of a charge. Okay, so we've got the parts and how to break them out. And I'm trying to, let's see if this has it. This is actually powder coating knowledge. Okay. That's powder coated frame. That's powder coated alternator, how to powder coat, cleaning and degreasing, how to prep, powder coating at home, powder coating text, the old Eastwood powder coater's guide. What is this? Okay. That's the manufacturing of a powder coat line. All right. Here we go. Share screen. Share. Okay. So this right here is inside of a knockoff Gemma box. Okay, the WX958 is a knockoff of an old Gemma powder coating system, and it's real simple. This is the SX108 board. It goes out to the high cascade, and then it runs a bunch of air cylinder or one air solenoid that's daisy chained to these 3 regulators. All right, these 3 regulators, one goes to the hopper, one goes to the top of the hopper for the feed, and one goes to the front of the Venturi to control dosage. All right. So that's actually what's inside of your little box. This is just a much bigger, higher voltage version of it. And then these tubes. So let's see if we can find. Bam, found it. Okay. This is inside of an SXE or an ES03 Spectracoat gun. It's a little blurry, but the guy that, or this is an ES02, my bad. This is the powder coat gun that I have. And it's an ES02 because it only has 2 knobs. So basically you have an air solenoid here controlled by a power box. This power transformer here, it runs the high cascade and the power for the solenoid. Okay. This solenoid, when you squeeze the trigger, or in your case, when you push that hand button, it would operate and charge this solenoid along with charging the high cascade. When this solenoid is open, it lets air flow. You have air coming in. It lets air flow through to this knob and regulates. And then you have airflow through this knob on this tube that it regulates. So you have, this is your in, and it feeds in, down, under, into this. When the triggers hit, this opens, it lets the air flow into this regulator. Regulated air comes out. This one flows over to here, regulated, and flows out. So this one goes to the hopper, this one goes to the gun. And that's how it works. It's really that simple. Potentiometer to adjust the high cascade, the high voltage cascade, and away you go. These are pictures from my actual ES02 before I modified it. So this is the air valve, the air solenoid. This is your main wire coming, or your main hose coming in. It feeds in and separates out into these 2 regulators. These 2 regulators, it feeds, it regulates and goes out. It feeds and regulates and goes out. So what I did was I took this piece off and changed it out with a 4 nozzle. It's a 4 stack. Screw it back on. And then I have 1 hose coming out to a regulator that is for my hopper, and 1 hose coming out for my gun, for my cleansing air. So I've got my feed, my dosage, my hopper, and my cleansing air all wired in. So when this opens, I'm getting 60 to 80 psi of air through this, feeding max 80 psi through this one, max 80 psi through this one, max 80 psi through that one, and max 80 psi through that one. And then I just adjust the regulators to what I need. These are all SMC valves. This is the power diversion board, and separates everything out. This is the SX108 high cascade board. So you got your power reduction board or power converter board, and you've got your high cascade board here. And then you have all your digital display stuff there and your on-off switch here. Okay. And then same thing we showed there and there. That's the 108 board wiring. And then that's another version of the WX958 gun with the OptiFlex high cascade gun. But you could see on this one has 3 regulators here, but then it has an extra regulator here. So even the knockoffs don't have all the regulators in a box. So you can just make your own and go from there. I hope that in some way helps you understand like what you're looking at. It's really one of those situations where when you look at this stuff, people tend to make it much harder than it has to be. It really doesn't have to be that hard. And you can get into powder coating very inexpensive. You can use a regular household oven as long as your parts fit in there, and as long as it gets up to 425 degrees, you can pretty much do powder coating at home. You can do what's called a pregnant oven mod. You could do like Mike and I and have custom big ovens. You can be like my last shop and have huge industrial ovens. The downside to that is whether you're doing one part or you're doing 900 parts, you've got to charge $600 startup. Like just to start that oven up, you got to charge $600 because that's how much it takes electricity and propane or natural gas to be able to run that oven. So just recognize that the bigger oven, the more electricity you're going to use, or the more natural gas, the more consumables you're going to use. My oven is a 4x4x6. I've done all kinds of projects in it. If I had it to do over again, I would definitely change some stuff. I think one of the things that I would do is I would put an integrated heat baffle system in. Just because I have a better grasp on how to build ovens now. Mike, you actually don't have to start with cracking open your Eastwood pack. A lot of this stuff can be done without cracking that open. Basically, you're just going to have to take your hand trigger and figure out the voltage on that, if it's 110 or 24 volt or 12 volt, and you just buy a air actuating solenoid of the same voltage and apply a power pack to it. And whenever you hit that switch, it'll open up that valve. Or better yet, like I said, put a momentary switch, like just a little limit switch, micro switch on your gun. And whenever you hit that, it'll spray out. Your oven actually is not going to use a lot. It's actually a pretty simple part. Hold on here. I'm trying to pull all my stuff here. I'm getting messages coming in. I've got a frog in my throat this morning. Trying to see. Oh, I've got people coming. Okay. nothing there. Let's check. Okay. All right, Mike, I got your picture of the deer head. That looks really good, man. You did a good job. The biggest thing for powder coating for me is the etching, which is I'm trying to think. It's basically cement etch, phosphoric acid. That's the name of it. Ionic phosphoric acid. You want to use ionized water. At minimum, use distilled water. But if you can use ionized water, it's even better because you can actually buy charged water, and it will attract the powder better once it's etched. But basically, just the way that I do it, I have to remember I do a spray down with citric acid, wash down, spray down with warm phosphoric acid and ionic water. And you need it to be 150 degrees or better. A lot of people don't realize phosphoric acid is made to etch metal and convert rust. It's a phosphoric converter. So what it does is it actually converts rust and makes it inert. Okay. When you do that, it has to be heated. A lot of people cannot afford a heating tank for this. Your heating tank has to be polyethylene, and it has to be heat resistant. And then you need to have a titanium heating element, because phosphoric acid doesn't eat titanium. It eats steel and iron. So if you use the regular Home Depot, Lowe's heating elements out of a hot water heater, you will actually eat through the metal element and kill it and cause a fire. And then you have acid and fire and all that. But basically what you can do is use a crock pot with a ceramic bowl. So you take a crock pot, you go in, you pour your couple gallons in there, heat it up, transfer it to a spray bottle, wet your metal down. Usually what I'll do is I'll preheat all my pieces to about 150 degrees. I'll spray down my part with hot acid, and then I'll wash it. Okay. And what I try to do is save all of my water in an enclosed cell system. And 5-bucket A goes into a 5-bucket reservoir. 5-bucket B goes into a 5-gallon bucket reservoir, so on and so forth. That's how you can actually etch your metal to get really good systems. Another thing is starting with a good piece of metal. So I'm trying to think. We talked about Time Savers and Easy Sands. They're large sanding drum machines that you basically take your metal off the powder coat table, you feed it through, and you go from there. I've been geeking out so much that I haven't put up any of the comments. So anyways, what they do is they sand all the slag off and all the mill scale off of the top and leave you with open bright metal, usually a satin finish. What's nice about that is you spray it down, you clean it. Typically you can just spray it with some denatured alcohol and distilled water. So you denature alcohol, wipe it down. You can do denature or distilled water. I wouldn't add water to an open metal, but I know guys that do. That's 6 of one, half a dozen of another. I don't see that as being a good way to do it, because you're getting rid of the rust and then introducing a rusting agent. So typically what I'll do is I'll denature alcohol, I'll rub it on, and then I'll heat it in an infrared heating box. You can use a torch, and basically just let it evaporate and then burn off the moisture before you put it in the oven. And then from there, once that's done, I powder coat and then I put it in the oven. So, it's really one of those. I know guys that use base metals, pickled in oil, cold rolled, pickled in oil, regular open cold rolled, and regular hot rolled. I prefer hot rolled just because I do a bunch of different things with them and go from there. So, all right. So that's powder coating. And once again, everybody, this is just topical information. This is not like in-depth, down and dirty. I mean, you're talking month-long shows to get that information out and understood. So Copperhead Mike has some parts he wants to put on the laser after he powder coats them. That's not an issue at all. I do it all the time. Cups, flasks, label tags, stuff like that. I do them all the time. One of the things that I like to do is I'll actually take metal tags, I'll put a vinyl overlay on them, powder coat them, let it flow out, pull the vinyl, finish cooking them, and then I'll put them on the impact engraver and actually engrave stuff onto the tag, like for custom built stuff and things like that. So let's see here. We have
Custom built stuff and things like that.
Let's get that off there. We have people watching. Pied Piper gives us a like. I'm trying to pull stuff up here as we're talking. We've got John giving us thumbs up. We got Hammerhead out there. Todd Waltz is out there. Thank you, guys. We've got all kinds of stuff. Oh, wow. Okay, awesome. So we're all caught up there. What's next? Or do you guys want me to end this? Give me some questions, kind of lead the discussion. John, if you're out there, maybe you got a question. We do have some different show plans. We have a Facebook ads and business page show with Jerry that I want to reach out to. I want to reach out to Steve Geralt for a robotics show, and I want to do a Mach 3 show. Hopefully I can get Brian on for a Mach 3 show. We're trying to work right now. We want to get CNC for Newbies on here, talking about their new rack and pinion router system. We want to get a couple of the diode laser guys on here talking about the different laser wattages and why diodes are so easy and nice. Then also some CO2 laser guys on here. So yeah. Copperhead Mike says the one item I'm really wanting to do is business cards cut off the table, powder coated and lasered with regular business info, and add QR codes to it so it can just be scanned. Been there, done that. It works. As long as you can link the QR code to the website, do your powder coating, and then take it down to bare metal so that there's a good contrast between what's powder coated and what's laser etched. Make sure you get it on a CO2 laser and you get a good laser etch on it. That's the big thing for that. Powder coat can't be too thick. What I recommend is, for the cost of it, for business cards, actually go on Amazon. You can buy business card aluminum blanks. They're thin aluminum. I think I buy them by the hundreds for like $15. That works out better because I buy the anodized ones and then I just throw them on the laser. I don't have to do any of the work. It actually saves me time and money by doing it that way. Whenever I first started, I tried doing my own business cards, and it worked. It was great because I had control of everything in-house. The downside to it is it's actually costing me money to do that. So when you look at the added advantage, it actually makes it better for you to buy the pre-anodized cards. So yeah. I'm trying to think of what else. Oh, make sure you stick with one metal over the other, like aluminum versus steel, and do a clean out in between. I'm asking for trouble because I cut aluminum on my steel grates and I have steel down in the bottom, but I usually have a full air system going. But you can get in a hydrogen fire out of that. And that's really all you need to know about metal business cards. So, yeah, it's funny. I didn't put this thing away, and now I'm glad I didn't, because now you can see how useful these little things are. Mike, you could add one of these four relay setups with a 5 volt wall wart, like a cell phone charger plug, and put that to the 5 volt and ground, or run 2 of them and have opto isolation. You'd run them over to here, and whenever you do that, you'll be able to, if you have this jumper on there, what this jumper does is it actually utilizes the same voltage from these pins to power the relays. If you have 2 separate, you have power here and power here, that gives you opto isolation, so the relays are completely separate from the control board or the control voltages. And then all you have to do is run your triggers off of ground, and whenever they're triggered, you could actually daisy chain it so that all the grounds go over to ground, and whenever it's operated, you hit a switch, and all of the triggers close, and that operates for you. Trying to think of what else. Oh, your hopper regulator doesn't need to be put on. It actually shouldn't be put on the switch, because your hopper regulator is going to air out all of the powder. So you need a constant flow of 1 to 2 psi powder. I usually run mine at 1 psi, maybe a little bit lower. So yeah. Let's get some questions in here. We got Friday morning. It's bright and early. All right. My daughter's doing homeschooling in the room over, and she needed me to turn down my volume. Yeah, Copperhead Mike, these boards are so nice. I would really like to, after we're done broadcasting, if I could get some of your time on a video chat, I would really like to see your ohmic sensing setup. That's one thing to me. It's kind of like magic. You don't, how to put it, you don't, when you look at this, you don't see, you don't see the electronics that go into it. And I know how to wire them up. I just don't quite understand myself. Like when it comes down and it touches the micro switch, the head comes down and touches, creates a closed circuit, or it pushes up on a spring torch and touches a micro switch. Whenever it touches that micro switch, that starts a macro movement for height sensing. So it touches, it goes to 0.15 pierce height, and then after it pierces, so it drives down, it pierces and drives down to 0.06, and whenever it's 0.06, it takes off. So the way that I do it is I actually do a simple ohmic touch off, and then I basically write a small dwelling macro, and I dwell in that spot for 4 milliseconds so that it has time to drive down. And after it drives down, it starts its cut. So basically what I do, like with an Arduino based plasma cutter, that's how I achieve my height control, is I actually program it in myself. It's a little cumbersome, but it works, you know. That's just how I like to do it. And then I do a height 0.5 inch height clearance. So that's where I go. That's what I do. All right. Explain the difference between a V-groove bit and a regular V bit. I wonder which bit you're talking about, John. So, I mean, you have V groove bits, and they're typically shallower and wider for like cabinets. If I'm following you right, and then you have V bits, which are more like a signage router bit, like they come to a very sharp point and give you they give you the fine detail. So like your V groove bits, I always think of V groove bits. I'm kind of confused because you have V groove bits for cabinetry, which they run the side edges into a V, so the router bit is actually a formed two blade. And then you have V bits, which are kind of like, they're shaped like a V, and they just run back and forth. So you have to let me know which ones you're talking about. Okay. Copperhead Mike is having problems with his digital height control, or his torch height control. Mike, that's one of those things. You and I should sit down and talk about this, and figure out, because you might actually have to do a little bit of programming in your post processor. If your AD2 is triggering for 0.05 seconds, that's 5 milliseconds. What you like, your pierce height should be for 4 milliseconds. So it should be 0.04 for a hypertherm. A hypertherm, I think that goes for Power Max 45 all the way up to 105, I believe. Because you're controlling the amperage by the power source. So if you're doing like 16 gauge fine cut consumables, which I assume that's what you're doing, everything on this is assumption based off of common plasma cutting signage setups. So I would assume you're doing 16 gauge. Your settings should be, for a hypertherm, 65, 45, 65, 85, and 105. You're going to be 0.04 seconds pierce. You're going to be 150 inches of inches per minute travel rate. You're going to be at like 40 to 41 amperage. Your pierce height should be 0.15, and your travel height should be 0.06. That should be the numbers you have off the top of my head. Okay. John says, let's see, Copperhead says that. John says that. I did make some good cuts last night using G92, is getting some crazy adjustments. Okay. Yeah, we're going to have to kind of work through that, because remember, a lot of that is post-processing, and then how your sensing is set up. So we've got to figure out when you touch off are you closing a probe link? Are you taking it high or low voltage on a probe link, and then it's just raising up till it touches like 0.15 digitally, and then coming down to 0.06? You know, how is all of that happening? So, um, all right, John, I am going to try and look up. So, John, this is a V-bit. This is a Freud V-bit. And it has a 90-degree angle, and at its 90-degree angle, it's a 1/2 inch wide. Okay. That's what a V-bit is. You could see, here's the groove that it makes. Okay. So on here, you can actually see it's 90 degrees at a 1/2 inch wide. Anything above that, it's going to be a wide point, but the angle is actually going to get shallower and shallower depth wise, not angle wise, but depth wise. All right. So it's always going to be a very wide setup. Let's see here. So these are all different V bits. So this says V groove, which is a V bit. Okay. When I say V groove, this is what I'm talking about. That's my V groove bit. I'm trying to. It's more like a dado. Here we go. So this to me is a V groove bit. Okay, because you make a cabinet style groove. All right. These are V bits, and it basically is a signage type bit. This is a V groove bit. So for me, I guess it really depends on what you're looking at, and go from there. Give me 1 second. I've got a customer call. All right, guys, I'm back. That was actually a customer picking up. That was Anne. She's going to be picking up 2 signs that she had custom made. And then from there, she wants me to powder coat one of the signs that she's already got and picked up. She's bringing it to drop off, and go from there. Okay, let's see here. So Copperhead Mike says, but yes, just before G31, I energized them, drops to touch, resets Z, then de-energizes relay and fires. Okay, so you should be dropping. It touches off. I'd have to see. Mike, we're going to have to talk after this, and I'm going to have to see what research you're looking at and go from there. Okay. John says the Amana bit. Look up that bit. Well, let's see. Amana 45624-K. Okay. Solid. Okay. That's a V bit. It's going to be better for grooving. It's going to be better for grooving rather than signage, because it's got 3 flutes. It's really going to dig out some material fast. So you're going to be able to move faster. It's a 60-degree 1/4 inch. Okay. So yeah, that's just a regular V-bit, John. You program it just like you would any other V-carve bit. Yep. It's good for plastics, plastics and wood and acrylics, composites. So it's not for aluminum. Don't be using that to go into aluminum, or you'll really regret life. Okay. So yeah, that's that. All right, guys, we're at 1:29 time wise. We're gonna stay on here for 5 seconds, and I'm gonna cut this out. All right, guys, 1.5 hours on later.